Boston Celtics are NBA champions once again.
Anything's possible!
MVP of the 2008 NBA Finals.
A team as talented as this one should be expected to win multiple championships. A roster featuring Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and a group of talented role players had high expectations to win even after a title. The 2009 season started with a bang as the Celtics started off 27-2. Unfortunately, Garnett would get injured and miss over 25% of the season, but the Celtics still ended as the 2 seed. But their opponents, the Chicago Bulls, didn't give a damn and they gave them everything they had.
But when we walked in here a couple of hours ago, it was freezing. Oh, joke came and oh.
Rose is on Rondo. Allen over Noah. Oh! Ray Allen has done it again! Ray Allen, Tim Thomas will link close. Pierce. Fake on Salmons. That is a 3.
Allen for 3. It's good. He ties the game with 9.8 remaining. Heinrich inside to Noah. Gorgeous feed.
Here's Pierce. Rose defending for the top. It's Pierce. Is this the dagger? On Allen. Screen by Pierce over Heinrich. A 3 for the tie. Oh, he hit it. Over Rose. Rejected by Rose. Rondo's shot was rejected by Rose. Fouled by Scaramucci. Rose rejects the Rondo shot. Game 7. 3. House. Ray Allen, chased by Miller. Oh, Allen bobbled it. And still got it to go.
Yes, the Celtics did win the series, but barely. Unfortunately for Boston in round 2, they wouldn't have the same luck.
Here's Turkoglu for 3. Turkoglu picked up on a switch by Rondo. Here is Alston from deep. Knocks it down.
In defense of Boston, they didn't have KG for the entirety of the playoffs. After all, it's hard for most teams to repeat. In 2010, the Celtics once again had a great start in the regular season with a 23-5 record. But again, they would fall in the loss column, only winning 50 games, which was good enough for the 4 seed. For most contenders, this doesn't seem that bad, but Boston was better than this, and in the playoffs, they would show just that.
Paul Pierce wins it with a stone-cold jumper. 198 the final. Boston goes.
The Boston Celtics with the huge upset. They advance to the conference finals.
Points, 13 rebounds for him.
The Lakers have won back-to-back NBA championships, and they're 16th overall.
This was, in every sense of the way, a devastating loss. Boston had beaten this team before. Hell, they were even up 3-2. Although starting center Kendrick Perkins would get injured in Game 6 and definitely depleted Boston, the Lakers won and Boston would get back in the lap. 2011 showed some improvement in the win column, winning 56 games and even added a future Hall of Famer to the team. Yes, I'm sure you've seen this photo a dozen times. Despite what people want you to think, Celtics Shaq wasn't actually that bad. While statistically he couldn't even score 10 points per game and didn't get that much action, season, the Celtics were 19-3 when Shaq played 20 or more minutes in a game. Now, the reason Shaq was even brought in was to replace Kendrick Perkins, who would miss a lot of time due to the injury he had in the finals. Boston would end the season with a 56-26 record and would sweep New York in the first round. Miami, however, would not be so simple. While Boston had a big three, the Heat had a big three of their own. LeBron, Wade, and Bosh would form the scary Miami Heat big three that some thought could rival Boston.
Almost 4 minutes of steal, and the result with
LeBron James by himself in this first half.
LeBron against Pierce.
Emotions may have been too great for him after game 3. Here with a nice tip.
And West.
The Celtics necessarily the steal by LeBron James.
Boston was running out of chances with this team, and the 2012 season could be one of their final chances, because next offseason, a lot of their players won't be under contract and will be looking for new deals. The 2012 season was the lockout year, so there would be less games, and the season didn't even start till Christmas. The Celtics would be 15-17 at the All-Star break, which is probably due to the fact that Paul Pierce was dealing with an injury. However, to end the season, they got hot. They went 24-10 to end the year and finished with a 39-27 record. If the season wasn't shortened, then it basically would have been a 49-50 win season had they kept the same pace. In round 1, they would handle the Hawks in 6 games. Boston would go to 7 versus Philly in a tough battle where they came out on top. Then there was Miami. Miami would take the first 2 games, but Boston wasn't giving up that easy. The Celtics would win 2 straight to tie the series, and Paul Pierce wanted to add to that lead.
Pierce for 3. It's good. Paul Pierce from way downtown. And Boston leads by 4.
It was 3-2 Boston, just needing one more win to make the finals. After this game, the talks about LeBron got toxic. Members of the media said LeBron couldn't win, even with the super team. This would unlock something in LeBron we had never seen up to this point. A pissed off and motivated Bron, who on this fateful night wasn't human.
Downtown. James blows past Pearson, throws it down. Out in the guard, LeBron James. James with the jump shot to play. James for 3. Puts it in. LeBron James from downtown. He's got 12 already. And the Heat have scored 10 in a row. Low against Ray Allen. Turns. Little jump hook won't go. James comes flying in and throws it down. And has stopped every Boston run. James turnaround jumper. Drills it. 41 points. And the lead back to 13. There will be a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, and Game 7 wasn't any better.
Special night. Nice pass inside. 3rd steal. Rondo sidestep blocked by James. Here comes James. Lobs to Wade. Back to James. What a play from Wade to James. Thomas telling James to go. He does. Lays it in with the left hand. Sitting. James drives on him. Hop step. Keeps his pivot foot off. High boards. James on the drive to the rim. Foul. Counter. And James fires a 3. Bang! LeBron James and the Heat's dreams of a championship still very much alive as they overcome a 3-2.
Boston once again couldn't get it done. They had again failed, and now they had a problem. One of the key members was done with this team. Ray Allen would sign to Miami on a very cheap deal, and to most people it seemed like betrayal. To this day, some members of this Boston team have not forgiven Ray Allen. This was only the beginning, as the Celtics only won 41 games. They got bounced in the first round. This was officially the end.
Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, all going to the Brooklyn Nets. Celtics get 3 number ones, 2014, 2016, 2018. Humphreys, Wallace, Evans, just a bunch of stuff. Clearly the Celtics are tanking.
At this point, there wasn't much to look forward to if you were the Boston Celtics. All you had left was Rajon Rondo, a below-average roster, and a ton of first-round picks from trading their team. Surely those picks wouldn't come in handy in the future. 2014 saw the Celtics win 25 games and would be awarded the number 6 pick in the upcoming draft.
The Boston Celtics select Marcus Smart from Oklahoma State University.
In the same offseason, Rajon Rondo would be traded to Dallas. This team wasn't that good, and they were the 10th seed with about 30 games left in the year. But then Boston made a trade that would change everything. At the time, no one cared about this trade, but Isaiah Thomas sure as hell did, and he single-handedly led Boston to the playoffs. Granted, they did get swept by Cleveland, but maybe there was hope for the future. In the offseason, they would draft Terry Rozier at number 16. Improvements were made as Boston went 48-34 and were the 5 seed in the playoffs. Again, they did nothing, losing in 6 to the Hawks. Was Boston going to be mediocre? Really, they had nothing to look forward to.
The 3rd pick in this year's draft goes to the Boston Celtics.
You might be asking, how the hell did Boston get here? They won 48 games and made the playoffs. Surely this can't be right. Well, remember that one trade back in 2013? Yeah, it was now 3 years later, and now it was time to reap the benefits. The Brooklyn Nets were an absolute atrocity, and their super team they formed was a joke. Because of this, Boston would have their choice of a top prospect in this upcoming draft.
With the third pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Tatum-Brown from the University of California, Berkeley.
Rookie Jaylen Brown would make an immediate impact along with Al Horford, who Boston would sign during the offseason. The Celtics once again would improve, winning 53 games, and in the end would be the 1 seed. In the first round, they would play Chicago, who seemed like it would be an easy matchup, but tragedy would strike right before Game 1.
A poignant moment from earlier today on the floor at the Garden in Boston. Isaiah Thomas consoled by his close friend Avery Bradley.
Thomas's 22-year-old sister China lost her life when her car veered off a road in Washington State at 5 a.m. and slammed into a metal pole.
And Bradley had Lopez closing out on him, gives it right back. Oh, Isaiah Thomas!
To cause Fred Hoiberg to call a timeout. A little bit
And Thomas hits another long-range missile.
just hesitation move from going to the rim, and he's finishing. And Justin is back on top. To fourth gear. And he's fouled. He goes.
So wind it up and do it again on Tuesday as Thomas hits it. He won. Goes by him. And Thomas scores.
They would lose that game and the game after, but Boston would go into overdrive after this loss.
Great ball movement to Green. The corner three is straight. Crowder with an easy flush at the other end.
Oh, Thomas saw the opening.
On the drive, yes, and it counts.
Celtics all season. Thomas gets inside, a little reverse off the glass. Isaiah Thomas launches it up. Oh, perfect pass.
Boston would move on to play Washington. In Game 1, Boston took care of business, but Game 2 happened to fall on a certain day, the birthday of Isaiah Thomas's late sister, China. This would unlock something in Isaiah that had never been seen before.
Thomas fires for three. He's got it. Horford, the lead feed. Thomas, the Euro step. Gortat gets the bucket on the inside. It's 44-34. Gortat has 8. Isaiah Thomas, bound action. Thomas, lob it up. Horford.
Oubre's going to get the start, but they're going to have to guard him as a team.
Isaiah Thomas grazes the rim. Tracked down by Horford. Isaiah. Rozier. Thomas. It's a three. Isaiah Thomas drives in, kicks it out. Rozier, big shot. Oh, he's got it! Morris, 50 seconds to go. Washington up by 1. Isaiah Thomas. He's not human. Thomas gets a step on Wall. Morris there to greet him. Thomas, and they keep feeding him. Isaiah Thomas to the hole. Thomas crosses. Foul called and one. Celtics victorious in overtime.
Boston was now up 2-0. However, Washington would win back-to-back games. Boston took Game 5, then John Wall hit a 3 in Game 6 to be up 1. The Celtics would have a chance to win it.
Horford. Bradley sets a screen. They switch it inside. Olynyk couldn't catch it, and a foul. Thomas got the catch. 3 on the way for the win. And the Washington Wizards will live for Game 7.
Luckily for Boston, they won in Game 7 and they would go on to play Cleveland. This was supposed to be an eventful matchup, but one that seemed pretty close. The stage was set, and then...
Let's not forget, they did have the overall #1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
What a great season by the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens.
They won 53 and 29. #1 in the East.
Boston would once again fall, but there was still hope as long as they kept this core together. Despite their amazing season, Boston would win the lottery. Again, that Brooklyn Nets trade was aging like fine wine. Boston had their choice in a draft class that was one of the most hyped up in years. Markelle Fultz was the top prospect, and it seemed like Boston was going to take him. But then Boston would surprise everyone. They traded down to #3. In exchange, they would get picks in the future, but the focus was on now. The NBA draft came and Boston made their impact.
Boston Celtics select Jason Tatum.
The Celtics had now just added a prospect that had all the potential in the world, but then Boston made a trade, a controversial one.
Danny called me I missed his call. When I got back to Seattle, I missed his call. He texted me, IT, give me a call back. Called him back, then he asked me how I was doing. I was like, I just got back to Seattle. He knew I was on my anniversary. He knew I was in Miami, so I said, I just got back to Seattle, I'm chilling, headed home. And then like it got a little quiet. And then that's when he broke it to me. He's like, well, IT, I just traded you.
In every sense of the way, this was fucked up from Boston's perspective. It wasn't known at the time, but this trade would ruin the career of Isaiah Thomas. But the trade was positive for Boston in some ways. Now they had one of the best guards in the league, and on top of that, this was the trade that made Gordon Hayward want to sign to Boston. Hayward was just fresh off making the All-Star team for the first time in his career and was in his prime. Opening night versus Cleveland was the perfect matchup to open the season.
And here come the Boston Celtics. Last season, they were 53-29, and inside, there's Kyrie to hammer it home with the left hand. Here comes LeBron. It's ahead to Rose, who floats in for the news. They by Kyrie down court. Here comes Brown, who hammers it home.
Better way with this young team. This is the guy that's probably hit the biggest shot in Cavs history.
They're going up. Oh my goodness! Hayward came down so hard. Okay, Hayward broke his leg. Hayward has broken his leg.
This was a terrible start to Boston's season. However, despite losing the first 2 games of the season, Boston would win 16 straight. Boston was 49-23 when all of a sudden Kyrie would be rolled out for the rest of the season, including the playoffs. Boston was now down 2 of their all-star and veteran players. This season was not looking promising, but Boston would end the season as the 2 seed. With most of the veterans on the team injured, Boston's young core of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and even Terry Rozier would have to lead the way, and that's exactly what they did. They were 1 game away from making the finals, and this was without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. Slowly but surely, this team was coming together. The 2019 season was very confusing to say the least. Boston went 49-33, but had multiple problems during the season. It was mostly drama and internal problems within the team that led to them getting eliminated in the second round. The 2020 season was also weird but eventful. The Celtics got Kemba Walker after trading Terry Rozier, and then a day later, Kyrie would leave to go to Brooklyn. The season itself was solid for Boston, including the suspension of the NBA season due to COVID. Boston would end the season with a 48-24 record, being the 3 seed. In fact, they did well in the bubble, even making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Miami, however, would get the best of them, beating them in 6 games. And now it was time to get back to the drawing board. The 2021 season was yet again another weird year. Due to injuries from most of Boston's roster, they ended the season as the 7th seed and got beat by Brooklyn in 5. Boston was slowly running out of time. If this core was going to win, it would have to be now. Boston made the choice to make Brad Stevens go from coach to president of basketball operations. His replacement, Ime Udoka. The Celtics did well during the regular season, ending as the 2nd seed, winning 51 games. In round 1, they played Brooklyn, who beat them last year, but Boston was here for revenge. They completely shut down Kevin Durant in a way no one had ever seen before up to this point, and they were able to sweep Brooklyn. Milwaukee was a team that Boston had trouble with years prior. It was a close series, but in the end, Boston would win. Miami was the last obstacle. Miami had played Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals less than 2 years ago. Boston had finally done it. They were in the finals and actually had a chance. In fact, most experts said Boston were the favorites with an 86% chance to win the finals. Their opponent, the Golden State Warriors, and in no way, shape, or form were they a championship team. The core of Steph, Clay, and Draymond was good, but these players were aging and the bench wasn't that good compared to previous years. Boston took game 1, then Golden State would win the following game. Boston would win game 3 when Steph Curry would say something that would change everything.
So we sitting there and he just like, enjoy y'all last win. Like us? Like it's 2-1. Like, what you mean? Like I'm sitting here like this. I'm like, man, what size am I? Like, look, I need my ring size. Yeah, nah.
This was no longer in Boston's control. Boston was right there, and yet they couldn't do it. They should have won that series in every way, but Steph Curry was something Boston was not prepared for. To make matters worse, Boston didn't have their coach anymore. Thankfully, psychopath Joe Mazzulla, the assistant coach for the team, would step up. Boston did great, winning 57 games, and once again was the second seed. In round 1, they handled business in Atlanta, winning in 6. But the following series versus Philly was not going to be easy. James Harden played one of the best playoff games he possibly could, scoring 45 points, and Philly took a 1-0 lead. Boston would blow out Philly in game 2. Boston took game 3, and game 4 was pretty close. Philly won game 5, and now they were up 3-2. All they had to do was win 1 to 2 games to move on, but Boston wasn't going to give up that easy.
Little quick sit dribble, Tatum. That's 2. Sets the screen. Smart over Harris. Tough shot. Slips out. Fires the 3. Made 2 in a row. Make it 3.
Doc was trying to get them to foul.
Tatum with the 3. That one falls. 16 points in the 4th quarter.
Number 18 still very much in play.
Boston was now going to the Eastern Conference Finals to play a familiar opponent. Miami and Boston had many battles over the years, and now this is what it all led up to. Miami was on their own run as an 8 seed, and they made it farther than anyone could have imagined. Miami took game 1. Okay, that's nothing to worry about. But then Miami took game 2. Okay, it's bad, but not over. But then Miami went up 3-0. No team in NBA history had ever came back down 3-0. But if any team was going to do it, Boston was going to be that team.
It's off to Smart for the 7th game. Could have been tipped in, but the buzzer sounded. The light was on.
Sections against it. And
Easter's good. He puts it down. 2 threes in a row for the Heat. Butler off the block. Johnson. Screen out of aisle. Open triple. It's off to Vincent. Got the screen. Launches a 3. Side Martin makes the fake. Williams bit the 3. Bullseye. Robinson with a 3. In the assists. The Miami Heat, they stand eye to eye with history, and they did not blink.
Boston should not have lost. They were the better team once again. But I feel like that's been the theme of this video. Boston was pissed and decided to put a team together so good and so talented they had no choice but to win. They traded for Kristaps Porzingis, which was seen as a trade with small risk and high reward. But they did lose someone in the process that I don't think they should have let go. They traded Marcus Smart, the captain, the heart and soul of this team. He was the embodiment of what it meant to be a Boston Celtic. They also got Jrue Holiday in a trade that absolutely nobody saw coming. They even made Jaylen Brown the highest paid player in the NBA, which caused a load of controversy. There was little to no weaknesses with this team, and during the regular season, they would show just that. Boston was not going to lose. They were by far the best team in the regular season. In round 1, they were faced up against Miami. Yes, the same Miami team that gave them trouble the year before and in many years, but this wasn't the Celtics from before.
A round 1 victory. Got to put it in. You're hearing the whistles.
Cleveland was up next, but again, they weren't ready.
The Boston Celtics have punched their ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Boston was now playing Indiana, who was on a Cinderella run of their own. But Boston said, fuck your Cinderella story.
That's it. It's over. The Celtics are heading back to the NBA Finals. And another crushing finish for these Indiana Pacers.
Everyone said Boston got lucky with who they'd played, and up to this point had not yet been battle tested. This was until Dallas had won the West. Dallas was one of the hottest teams in basketball, and people thought they would silence Boston. But Boston was so far gone at this point.
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Batter number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions. Lisa Salter's in there somewhere.
He said during these conference finals and finals, whether it's come from the players, whether it's...
We did it. We did it! Oh my God, we did it.
2024 Bill Russell Finals MVP goes to Jaylen Brown.
It was a full team effort, and I shared this with my brothers and my partner in crime, Jason Tatum. He was with me the whole way, so we shared this shit together.
The Boston Celtics had finished the story.